Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get into the September love reading for the sign of Gemini. Alright, my lovely Geminis, air sign of the twins. We're going to get right into it and pull out your romance angel messages for the month. Alright, now remember, these messages may or may not resonate with you in part or in whole. Just take what resonates and throw the rest away. We have separation. So some of y'all are going to be going through some kind of time apart. Express your love. And let's pull one more. Trust. Sometimes I pulled 2 cards, sometimes 3. Felt like we needed one more. So trust. Wow, okay. Interesting. So we don't know how that's going to play out until we get your cards out, right, Gemini? So let's get right into your spread. Beautiful air signs. My daughter's a Gemini, so I get along with Geminis. I meet very few of them, honestly, in my personal life, but very interesting air sign. Let's see what love is all about for you this month. Now, the monthly love readings are for anyone who wants to look at their love outlook. You could be with someone, you could be calling someone in, you could be trying to get away from someone. Whatever the case may be, this reading is for any scenario in love. So it's not necessarily a soulmate reading, it's a love reading for the month. Alright, so you may resonate with part of the reading or all of the reading at different times of the month. I urge you to check back. And also don't forget to check the placement of your other planets, because of course this is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. You may have another planet in any of those positions, and you might want to check those readings as well to see if they resonate with you. So straight out the gate we have the Chariot. Wow, 7. Major Arcana, dreams and aspirations. We have the Queen of Cups. We have the 7 of Swords, the Dream Thief. 5 of Swords. We have 6 of Wands. So trust issues, 7 of Swords and 5 of Swords. Makes perfect sense. Knight of Cups. And then we have 7, another 7. So far we've got 3 7s, 7 of Wands. This month is definitely about your dreams and aspirations. We have Sun coming out. And we have the Wheel of Fortune. Wow. All right, Gemini. This is a very interesting reading. What do we have at the bottom of the deck? 4 of Swords. Okay, so we're talking about 4 of Swords, of course, talks about a respite, a truce. Returning to your corner for the sake of maintaining stability, right? So oftentimes people, when we interpret the tarot, a lot of times I see readers who neglect to include the numerical or numerology. I want to say more like the numerology associated with the card. 4 is the number for stability, maintaining stability, being fearful of losing stability. If you look at the major arcana, 4 is the Emperor. The Emperor is all about leadership and foundation and power. So in the 4 of Swords, it's not only that a lot of times this is interpreted as, well, you know, you're just waiting. This is not about waiting. This card is about strategizing, right? This person, this is a very old ritual that in ancient times, in ancient European times, perhaps during the times of the Crusade, I'd want to say, when you went out in battle and you came home and you survived, you would come home and lay on your crypt. This is his crypt. And you would get paid thanks to your ancestors or your gods, whoever you believe in, right, for allowing you to come back. And it's a form of gratitude for allowing you to live another day. So in 4 of Swords is a lot more than just waiting. We're talking about returning to your corner for the sake of maintaining your stability. You know, he who runs away one day lives to fight another day. It's that kind of thing. So 4 of Swords is when you're really trying to come up with a strategy for the next step. All right. You're taking a step back from the scenario, and now you're really thinking and planning and trying to figure out your next step. It's a Swords card. It's to do with the mental. You know, so we don't just wait with a swords card. No one is ever just waiting with a swords card. It's about waiting and thinking and strategizing and planning in peace and with the sake of maintaining the stability and the power that you've already attained. All right? So this is the bottom of the deck, and that basically informs the reading, lets you know what we're talking about here is overall I'm trying to maintain the stability that you do already have in your life. But let's get right into it. The 7, Chariot. So 7, we have a lot of 7s. 7 is the number for dreams and aspirations. So again, when we look at the Chariot, we're talking about a time in your life. The Chariot's not engaged. He's not running. He's not moving. He's standing still. I do apologize for the background noise. I live in a city, y'all, so. The Chariot is not engaged yet. So with the Chariot card, we're talking about planning and the path. Getting your ducks in a row. Setting out the path that you're going to follow once the Chariot is engaged. The admonishment with this card is that once the Chariot is engaged, it will follow the path you set for it relentlessly. So be careful. We talk about sometimes when we wish for certain things and we set a certain, we set dominoes, we set certain circumstances in place, right? And we let the dominoes fall where they may, right? If we don't set them up properly, right? It's that kind of an effect, you know. Sometimes things happen one by one and we're not very conscious of it. We may set out on something before we're completely prepared. But once that Chariot, which is the vehicle by which you're going towards your goal, right? And your goal is ultimately your dream or your aspiration for yourself. Oftentimes this can be associated with what you want to be in life. You know, if there's a certain profession you want, or if you have a certain career that you want, if you wanted to be famous or a writer or this, whatever that is, this is very much associated with that energy of the Chariot. But it's all that preparation. When the preparation is proper, then it takes you somewhere and you're off on your journey. When the preparation is not quite proper, then that path could take you anywhere, and oftentimes it doesn't take you anywhere near where you expected it to go. So then we have the Queen of Cups coming in and the 7 of Swords. So that's very interesting. Queen of Cups comes out over express your love, and 7 of Swords happen to come out over trust. They're both very associative with the two. Queen of Cups is about expressing your love. She's the great so below as above. Everything that's inside of her, she wears on the outside. She wears her feelings. It is her identity. Her feelings are her identity in a way. When we talk about Queen of Cups, we're talking about water of water energy. It's the most watery, the most emotional energy. But it's a healthy emotional energy because she is a queen. So it's the mastery of emotional energy. She's not afraid to be vulnerable. This is a stage in your life when you've reached a certain amount of emotional maturity. You're not afraid to be vulnerable. You're not afraid to tell someone that you love them. You look for love that is similar to your own, a healthy love. You've kind of transcended the toxic love, right? The toxic kind of love. And yet you have also, and so this is it, express your love. So for some of you, you may be, part of your process and planning for the future may be expressing your love. It could be that you have a love interest in your life or a new love who's come into your life that's going to factor very much into your forward path or progression for yourself. However, you really need to express your love to this person so that they know. You could be going through a separation right now and you're realizing this Chariot may be going without them, right? In a sense that your Chariot, if you don't express your love to this individual who you may be separated from, once your Chariot engages, it may take you away from them, right? It may take you down a road that leads you away from them, and then suddenly you wake up and you find that you're not with this person. They should have really been part of your journey, right? Sometimes you have to make room for somebody in your life if you want them to be part of your journey. They can't be just attached. There has to be room for them in your life for you guys to kind of move forward together. Oftentimes when you don't make the right room in your life, this is how people separate from each other. Seven of Swords is coming in, and that's interesting because that is talking about trust, actually, in a lot of ways. Seven, again, with Seven of Swords, we again talk about dreams and aspirations. But with Seven of Swords, we talk about a character who wants something so strongly that they're not willing to work for it, they're willing to take it. This is the great tortoise and the hare story. So this would be the hare, right? So the hare is very cocky and arrogant. He thinks he should win anyway by virtue of who he is. He believes by virtue of his superiority, he believes he should win anyway. And so therefore, he then convinces himself that he doesn't have to work for it, that he can just take it. You know, you ever met somebody like that who's kind of like, well, if I had gone the long road, I would have achieved it anyway. It just would have been a waste of my time. So I decided to take what I wanted. That kind of attitude. Well, what ends up happening is they don't get what they desired. Here you have him walking away with 5 of the 7, and that's not really a victory. If the goal was to get the 7, he only got a portion of them. He's blind to the fact that there was no victory. And just like with the tortoise and the hare, ultimately the hare never wins the race. The hare never gets the goal that he wanted so badly because he constantly used all these nefarious means, cheating and cutting corners. He takes a nap because he doesn't think he needs to run. He then tries to catch up, you know, and the tortoise is very methodically racing towards his goal and his dream, and he achieves it. So with the 7 of Swords, we're talking about not being too hasty, not rushing things, not cutting corners when you're trying to accomplish something. Of course, it's a swords card. So it's the mentality that you have, right? Adjust your mentality so that, you know, it's a mentality of wanting to put the work in. Realizing that the journey, the goal can never be accomplished without the right amount of work that's put in. Interestingly enough, you also have a 5 of Swords coming up. So the aspect here, you're at center at the reading, you have 6 of Wands. So this is, you get a victory somewhere in the middle of the month, but this is really interesting because before that, you certainly have a battle, a power battle. 5 is the number for power battles, right? A battle of wills or power struggles, right? And so you're having that with someone, and someone, again, is using sort of underhanded means. Here they're being very... they're cheating. They're not being very noble. You can see that the other characters, they've thrown down their swords in disgust and walked away. You know, this character is like, I won, but it's a hollow victory. Nobody cares. I mean, what's a victory if nobody... You know, a victory is in the eyes of those around you. They give you, you know what I mean, in the sense of when you're looking for that kind of ego boost, right? The true kind of self-esteem booster of a victory, it involves people acknowledging it, right? It involves people acknowledging your victory and acknowledging your right to the victory, more like it, that you have a right to it, that you've earned it. Here, there's no acknowledgement, and so the victory is extremely hollow. It's very temporary. It doesn't last, right? And this is people who are... This can describe a scenario, for instance, when you're dealing with people who are not playing fairly, right? They're not playing fairly. Now, you may or may not know about it. Oftentimes, you may see that they're not playing fairly, but they're somehow winning anyway. Why are they winning? Because you can't be bothered to lower yourself to their level, right? You ever, you know, you've been around somebody and it's like, oh God, you know, like I can't be bothered with this person and their games because if I play their games, I'm just the same kind of shallow idiot that they are, and I don't want to, like, you know what I mean? I don't want to lower myself to that level. Let them just have it. Like, I'm disgusted. It's really that feeling. That's the feeling of 5 of Swords, right? And so you're having that. Now, you may be the one who's perpetrating that, but oftentimes this card will come out when you are in a battle with somebody who has this kind of character, right? Who has this desire to win at all costs, right? Here we're talking about a laziness in achieving your goals, right? This is not so much about... the 7 of Swords is not so much about messing up the other guy so he loses and by default you win. This is more about stealing, cheating your way to a goal, being hasty, cutting corners, right? But with Five of Swords, we get an individual who's way more concerned with kind of like knocking the wind out of your sails, knocking you down a peg, knocking the person that they're competing with down a peg, personally in some kind of way, so that they don't perform their best and so that they win by default. It's much more insidious of an energy, and it's something you need to be aware of because it's coming into you this month. Interestingly enough, depending on how you deal with all of this, you do get the Six of Wands and then the Knight of Cups. So it could be. Now, when we're talking about separation, some of you, right, I want to say that some of you have been in love with someone, right? And you guys separated. And I'm going to say that you probably separated because of bad communication, all right? This was the outline here, right? This is the setup. It was bad communication. I think there was probably someone who was actively working against your union. You may not have known about it, or you may have known about it and your partner wasn't acknowledging it, right? There was some kind of disconnect in the communication, right? Either you or your partner was realizing that other people, there's someone else behind the scenes or even right out in front who's doing something that was messing up your relationship. But because perhaps you two were not on the same page, that could have led to a separation. Also, this kind of desire to quickly get something. It could be that somebody was very, very jealous of your coming together with this, either coming together with this person, right? Or something of that nature, right? Something to do with the person that you're separated from. And that also happened, right? Somebody was kind of like cutting corners. It could be that you were mad, right? It could be that you, Gemini, were mad at your lover or your person, or they were mad at you because the way that you handled, right, this. The way that you handled this. For instance, I'm going to say, like, say, for instance, you're in love with this person, right? And they've got this other person who keeps interfering in your relationship, maybe a flame, an ex-flame, right? Or an old lover, a friend who's just too in your business, a family, whatever the case may be. But they're instigating themselves into your relationship and trying to cause a wedge so that they kind of can get their agenda. But the way your person handled it was a very Seven of Swords energy. They really didn't take it very serious. They really didn't handle it the way you wanted them to handle it. They kind of very hastily, dealt with it, but not in a really good way, right, to really stomp it out. And this person continued to interfere. And I think that this was perhaps the scenario that led to some of you guys breaking up into separation, okay? Now, where it gets interesting, I believe that this is what perhaps has happened. For some of you, this has already happened. For some of you, this may be happening this month in September, right? The way to deal with it, though, is to express your feelings to this person, right? Explain your feelings about how you feel about the Seven of Swords energy. Explain your feelings about the fact that they really didn't handle it, that they were really hasty about it. You really do have to express your love to this individual because you're about to take off with the Chariot. And I'm going to tell you why later, because we see the Sun and Wheel of Fortune. Your life, Gemini, is about to take off, and you want to take this person with you, but you have to handle this. And a way to do this is to talk to them about it. Now, I say all of this because here we come to this crux of the situation, which is at the center. You get your victory this month, and your Knight of Cups is your person coming back into you. Why is that? Because of the way you handle it. If you handle this situation with the Queen of Cups energy, meaning if you handle it by really showing your love for them and how you feel about it, how strongly you feel about the fact that they haven't handled it right, that this person is still allowed to keep interfering with your relationship and causing problems and making you want to give up on the relationship. If you express that with love to your person, then you will get the victory, because then they understand. You have to trust them. And this is how we now get into the understanding of the romance angel cards. Express your love and trust. Separation. Why? Because expressing your love will cause your victory to come in, because your person is going to understand that you care about them, you love them, and you trust them to handle the situation, because you're trusting them with your deep feelings about it. Explain to them that you're about to leave. You're about to go off on a journey with your life, and if this isn't handled, there's not going to be room for them, and they're not going to be in your life. Interestingly enough, then we come down here to the other 7. And now here, I love this spread, because this is a really good spread for people to also who are learning how to read tarot, to understand how to spread the aspects of a spread can impact the reading. Because here we have a 7 of Wands, we have a 7 of Swords, right? And we have a victory. Now, there was a line that went through, right? This is a connective line. This is an aspect. We have, through this victory, the 7 of Swords before was very hasty, right? It was very lazy, hasty. It was cutting corners energy. It was, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to just like quickly put a Band-Aid on this and, you know, do what I can and get what I can energy. Has totally turned now to a 7 of Wands energy, and now this person is battling. Now this person is willing to stand up for their relationship. Now they have the strength and the self-confidence to battle the obstacles in a very creative way. They're putting all effort into it now, right? This is how we cross over from a Swords into a spiritual, which is the Wands. You've learned a bit of a lesson here. It's a sevens lesson. Do you understand what I mean? It's not necessarily a Swords lesson. A Swords lesson will be 7 of Swords going up to an 8 of Swords. This isn't a Swords lesson. This is a sevens lesson, and it's a lesson in realizing your dreams and aspirations. Sometimes when you realize that cutting corners is not going to work, you find out that you must stand up for them. All right, and I think that what happens is your person comes into you, and you and your person both decide to fight for your relationship a bit more, decide to knock away some of the obstacles that have been in your relationship, because the 7 of Wands is all about fighting obstacles that are standing in the way of manifesting your dreams in a creative way. Wands are not swords, they're not weapons, they stand for creativity. So in this way, you can see him, he's nearly standing on top of the world. If you look what he's standing on, he's not just standing on a patch of ground. This is, you know, the aspect is to indicate the world. So this is monumental obstacles, but it's almost as if it's him against the world, right? That kind of energy. Well, now it's you two against the world, because your Knight of Cups has come in, and what happens? You get the Sun and Wheel of Fortune. So the reading ends, right, with the aspect to the Chariot, which is, like I said, you're about to take a journey, and all your reaffirmation is right here, your Sun and your Wheel of Fortune. What better cards could you get to sum up the Chariot? You make the right choice to align everything as it should be, and the Wheel of Fortune opens up for you, and your Chariot moves forward, taking the opportunities that are opening up to it on its way. When a Wheel of Fortune opens up, these are golden opportunities that open up on your path that you can either take or not take. But the Sun comes in to reaffirm. Sun energy will always reaffirm, will always give you affirmation that you're on the right track. And what I mean by that is things will begin to happen towards the end of the month, if you've resonated with this reading, where you'll start to see signs of things happening, things moving in a favorable way, things being outcomes being favorable to you, right? Options coming in, you know, everything changing very smoothly. If you're moving, if you're changing where you live, cities, traveling, you know, these are the type of things. Or if you're going on your study tour, or whatever the case may be, whatever this chariot is about to encounter or be on a path on, things to do with it will start to happen very easily. These are the type of affirmations we talk about with the sun card. So when I say the sun comes in, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about affirmations in everyday life that let you know you're on the right track, because everything just happens very smoothly. You just don't come up against any obstacles. Things are timed very nicely, you know. Oh, you know, and they seem to be very coincidental, but this is all about timing and reaffirmations that come in. And then when the wheel starts turning, the wheel literally starts turning as a result of all of these energies that line up perfectly, right, for the wheel to turn. It's like all the cogs have to be in the right position, and the wheel engages, and the universe suddenly starts to give you opportunities. Okay, guys, so this is your reading. This is the strategy moving forward with that Four of Swords. I'm going to call it Gemini. This is your September love reading. Thank you so much for checking it out. If you resonated with this, please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to go deeper into the reading, you can follow me on Patreon, which is where I'm going to go now to pull some Thoth cards, 9 more. We're going to clarify these 9 cards, and we may pull some Oracle cards as well. But this will all be all on Patreon, and you can follow the link for that in the top of the description below. But if this is enough for you now, I just want to say thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and I love you, Gemini. I'll see you mid-month for the love check-in. Bye-bye.